first book of yours I ever read in seminary, Finally Comes the Poet. I was flipping back through that, and I saw that I had marked a passage in which you note that Daniel and his 3 friends were tempted with success through conformity. And so I was wondering, I mean, you obviously are successful. You've done very well.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, in what some ways...
let me say about my let me say about my yeah. I have. I'm not bragging about that. I know that about myself. Winston Churchill, it's reported, his 8-year-old grandson came and said, "Papa, they say you're the greatest man of the 20th century. Is that true?" And Churchill said, "Yes, now booger off." Excuse me.
So, in that kind of success, what are some of the ways that you have personally experienced or encountered the temptations to power and prestige that you so helpfully write about?
Not power, just prestige.
Yeah.
There's no power comes with what I do. Well, it's seductive to want to be connected to and noticed by the right people. It's seductive to try to angle to get included in the right venues. It's seductive to want to overproduce in some way to vindicate myself. So I am on a good day quite aware of that, and I suppose one of the signs of that is that my schedule is always overfilled. As my wife keeps reminding me, that I think if I do one more good thing, I'll hit the jackpot, whatever that may be. So, I talked to Tony Campola's son, you know, Tony Campola, and I asked him if his dad was going to retire, and he said, "Oh no." He said, "My dad can't retire. He needs a standing ovation twice a week." And I said, so.
One of my favorite teachers as an undergrad, I remember so clearly one day when I was a junior, he said, "No one wants to draw the prophet card. And yet, you've made a career out of the prophet card." And so I wonder, how do you, surely it's got to be difficult sometimes. And so I wonder, how does one sustain a life of warning of the dangers of affluence and power? Or another way to ask it perhaps is, what kind of sources of either consolation or inspiration have kept you going?
Yeah. Well, I think that I am, this may not sound very convincing, I think I am fed by the text. And I have had such a privileged life that I just get to sit and look at the text. I don't have to do what pastors have to do. I find the text endlessly energizing, and I have lots of contact with people who are in street ministry or ministry with poor people, and they often tell me that my work helps them, and that really is an incentive for me to keep at it, because I can imagine that my work has real connections with ministry. I don't think I have ever doubted the truth of the prophetic dimension of faith. My misgivings are, and they're very much on the front burner for me, that I'm a better talker than I am a walker, and I'm very aware of that, and I regard myself as under discipline. I think I have grown less shrill about what I think the demands of prophetic faith are, because I cannot bear the shrillness of the demand in my own life. So that's an ongoing, unresolved issue in my life about my use of money, my use of time, my having and not having courage, and all of that stuff. And I suppose I'm like you. I take comfort in the conviction that God can use people like us. And I know I did a lot of years in psychotherapy, and I know a good bit about myself, and I know about that. So that's what I keep processing.
Perhaps kind of a follow-up to that, and it kind of follows directly on the heels of that. This week, me going through some of the same kind of questioning about myself that you just articulated, I came across a passage from Thomas Merton that was very moving to me. He said, "The fruitfulness of our life depends in large measure on our ability to doubt our own words and to question the value of our own work." And so I hear you saying that you've been through that sort of process.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that ultimately liberating to you, or is it? I mean, do you waver between despair on the one hand and liberation on the other in light of that fact?
Well, I wouldn't call it despair. I just call it anxiety. But David asked me while we were sitting down there, "Do you ever get anxious?" And I said, "You mean like right now?" And you never know whether what you're going to do is going to work or whether it's going to ring true. And sometimes I did 4 weeks at my church recently, and the second week came home, and Tia said to me, "That is the worst thing I have ever heard you do." She not only said it with such authority, she did not go back for the third or the fourth sessions. God forgive her. And as all of us know who are preachers, sometimes you think you bombed and somebody is very grateful for what you've done. So it's just a strange enterprise in which you're engaged and I'm engaged, and I think I dare to think sometimes the Spirit is present in the process and often not, and we just do what we're able to do.